This is the second chapter of a book I'm writing about. Kid from Oklahoma, Jay. The bus rumbled along, fell into a rut, corrected itself, only to fall into another. Each bounce brought laughter from the boys in the back as they were flung from side to side. To Jay, each jolt brought a memory of his old school in Muskogee. September 5th, 1964, he had arrived at the door of Muskogee Elementary wearing his blue striped shirt and new Wrangler jeans. He brushed dark brown hair from his eyes and pasted on his "I hope I can do this" face, in spite of trepidation. A woman held the door for him, smiled, asked his name. "Jay," he whispered. "What's your last name, son?" "Hartle." "So, Jay Hartle," she said, placing her arm around his shoulder, "you're going to be a first grader." He nodded. "I'll bet you're 6. Today will be an exciting day for you, your first day of school." This is fun, Jay thought. The woman opened her book, read a moment, marked something down. "Come with me," she said, grabbing his hand. They walked down a long hallway and entered a room. "Here's your class, Jay. You may sit anywhere you'd like." 3 girls were hunched together in the front row, their dresses spread out over the desks. As Jay passed by, one giggled and pointed at his shoe. He took a seat at the end of the last row, looked at his shoes, found a lace untied. "I don't know how to tie. I'll tuck it under the seat," he thought. More kids came in. Some laughed and talked. Others sat and quietly looked around. One cried. All fell silent as a stern woman entered the room. Miss Add, a 6-foot-tall, ageless hulk, looked about combatively. She wore a face flanked by massive jowls that rose and fell, punctuating each sentence she uttered. Phrases often ended with her baring her teeth. One sensed she'd seen classroom battle a long time but had only begun to fight. "This is my teacher?" Jay worried. As Miss Add spoke, she waved a yardstick menacingly, reminding Jay of a nature show he saw on TV where an elephant swung its trunk back and forth. She began giving out rules. "You are to speak only when I tell you to. Raise your hand to answer a question. Keep your feet flat on the floor. And there will be no wiggling around in your desk. Understand?" The students hastily sat up straight, looking scared and guilty. "Now we'll see if you were paying attention," she said smugly. "Who can give me one of the rules?" A girl in a frilly pink dress and patent leather shoes hesitantly raised her hand. Miss Add nodded to her. "The rule, Missy?" "You should raise your hand when you answer a question," the girl asked uncertainly. "That's right," Miss Add nodded. "Only you don't answer a question with a question." The girl looked around bewildered and lay her head down on her desk. Miss Add continued to reiterate the rules, calling on different girls for confirmation. When the grilling ceased, a collective sigh followed, and breathing became easier for a moment, but the air thickened up as she stared next at the boys. "What's the matter with you?" she challenged. "No participation?" "What's participation?" Jay wondered. "Now listen carefully," she ordered, waving her yardstick, her voice cutting like a chainsaw. "If you break a rule, you will feel this here stick good and hard." She scowled again, turned and sat at her desk. The first rules were class rules. Now for the school rules. Remember, both will get you this stick if you break them. No running in the halls, no fighting on the playground, no dallying in the bathrooms. The students again looked around confused. The kid who'd cried earlier now let out a loud bawl. "Go sit in the hall," Miss Add shrilled. "School isn't for babies." The kid, still crying, fled the room. "There's always one of them," Miss Add said, scrutinizing the class for others. By 10, Jay needed to use the bathroom, but not knowing where it was, nor daring to ask, he held his crotch and wiggled uncomfortably in his seat. "If I raise my hand, everyone will hear me, and how do I ask? Do I say take a piss like Dad does?" He fretted, sweat, and clenched his teeth until the floodgates broke. Then he peed, not just a few drops, but the whole load. Immediately, Miss Add spotted the puddle beneath his desk and stopped to where he sat cowering with fear. "What have we here?" she cried triumphantly. "March up by my desk so we can all see what you've done." Jay sat, staring straight ahead. Miss Add reached down and yanked the tiny hairs on the back of his neck until he rose from his seat. Then she pushed him to the front of the class. His soaked shoes, especially the loose one with the untied lace, sloshed loudly. Jay tried to step lightly to minimize the sound. "Look," Miss Add hooted. "He tiptoes like a little girl. Let's give him a hand." She began clapping and singing, "Yeah, yeah, you peed your pants." The kids looked uncertainly at each other and sneaked furtive glances at Jay. "Give me some help here," she ordered. And then the class, boys openly, girls reluctantly, joined in. The bell rang and Miss Add surveyed the class. "You can all go out for recess, all except you," she said, pointing at Jay. "You get paper towels from the bathroom and clean this mess up, and you'd better never let it happen again, understand?" Jay stumbled down the aisle and collapsed into his seat. "I didn't cry. I ain't never going to cry," he thought. From that moment on, he never said a word nor responded in any way at school. Soon everyone labeled him retarded and, to his relief, left him alone.